Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. I'm Jenny.
And I'm Andrew. Along with our cats Winston and Pierre, we make up 4 expats, 1 adventure. So we've been living in Bangkok now for actually just over 6 months.
Yes.
And one area that we started to notice in our budget was that our grocery bill was a little higher than we expected. And we wanted to kind of better understand why that was. People do individual little shopping trips at one store and do a comparison of the cart, but we wanted to really do a larger approach and look at the top items people buy in the U.S. that we expect expats would buy here. Because if you look at the videos of things, you'll always hear that costs in Thailand are way less expensive than in the U.S.
And in many areas it can be, but when it comes to groceries, it's not for us.
Yeah, it's really not. So we're going to start with groceries, but we really want this to be part of a larger series on cost of living in Bangkok. Like I say, I think in most areas we expect it to be less. Groceries hasn't been one for us, so let's get into the numbers and take a look.
Let's do it.
All right, let's go. All right, so before we get into the numbers, here's how we calculated everything. We compared like-for-like quantities. Grams were converted to ounces, milliliters to fluid ounces. Pack sizes adjusted, a dozen eggs against a dozen eggs. Baht was converted to dollars using a consistent exchange rate valid at the time of this video. Every percentage difference is based on the same exact quantity. This is an apples-to-apples comparison. We're comparing average prices from the top grocery stores in Bangkok versus our regional H-E-B grocery chain in Austin, Texas, which we believe has prices reflective of most of the U.S.
Yes.
So all of the stores we're talking about today have their prices listed online. So feel free to go to these websites. We'll include them in the description, and you can check the prices of any item 24/7. If you eat like a local, food costs in Thailand are low. If you eat a Western diet, many items are noticeably more expensive. Costs generally decrease as your lifestyle shifts toward local norms. Our basket reflects a mostly Western grocery mix. We are currently up here in mostly Western end of this graph, while most expats are probably a little bit lower in a more of a hybrid approach. I expect we will find ourselves moving to a more hybrid approach as we live here longer.
Yeah. Now let's walk the store aisle by aisle.
All right, let's go. Bananas and potatoes were cheaper in Bangkok, local supply, minimal transport, but grapes and cherries were significantly higher. We're talking imported fruit, air freight, refrigeration, and smaller demand. Some items are available on street vendors who we do like to support when we can. In fact, we buy apples now from a vendor near the Prong Pong BTS station. Generally, though, you're looking at a limited selection, and it's not always practical or convenient. All right, let's talk meat, poultry, and seafood. Ground beef and ribeye are significantly more expensive in Bangkok than the U.S. That's not too surprising. Quality beef here is often imported, and that adds cost. Salmon shows an even bigger gap. When salmon is imported, it requires cold chain transportation, so you're paying for logistics. Pork is also noticeably higher. The good news is that chicken breast is 18% lower in Bangkok than the U.S. Chicken is a staple protein here produced locally at scale, so it's one area where Thailand comes out on top. For dairy and eggs, milk and butter were modestly higher. Eggs were comparable. Cheese was substantially higher. I mean, cheese simply isn't a core local ingredient, and that affects demand and pricing.
Yeah.
All right, for bread and grains, white bread and rice were cheaper. Imported cereals, especially Cheerios, were dramatically higher at $11 a box. Cold cereal just isn't a core breakfast staple here, so demand is limited. Fortunately, they have Frosties here, which is the international branding, I guess, of Frosted Flakes. And that is produced locally here, so that was definitely less expensive, and that's what we're eating now.
Yeah.
All right, taking a look at pantry items now. For peanut butter, I tend to buy Jif peanut butter. I've been having that all my life, so you can see that's 114% higher than it is in the U.S., so pretty dramatic increase there. In some of the stores, I didn't know there was a local alternative, but I've now found that there is one, so when I run out of my Jif, I'm going to try this new brand called MASH. It's still more expensive than the U.S., but you know, it's at 30-some% less than the Jif, so I'm going to give that a shot. And we're open to trying Thai brands whenever we can.
Yeah.
Heinz ketchup is a really interesting story. So on the shelves, Heinz ketchup, you can see it there. It's, you know, the traditional bottle you're probably used to in the U.S. grocery store. It's an import, and it's almost double the price. It's 92% higher than it is in the US. But interestingly, Jenny was fortunate enough to kind of spot this other bottle of Heinz below that had some Thai writing on it. And when we did the translation app, we found out it's also Heinz ketchup. And looking at the bottle, it's basically the exact same thing, just produced here in Thailand using local tomatoes, ingredients, and labor.
And it tastes exactly the same.
Yeah, so that was a great little
Yeah.
win. And you can see it's actually 26% lower than the same ketchup in the US.
Yeah.
All right, taking a look at snacks, this is an interesting one. Kind of like the Heinz ketchup story, you can see Lay's potato chips. The name brand is an import here, and it's 89% higher than it is in the US. But interestingly, again, Jenny had the eye to spot this one. There's another brand that looks really similar, but it's LAU. I don't know if that's Lao, but it's when we started looking at it, it's exactly the same thing as Lay's, produced in Thailand with Thai potatoes and Thai ingredients, and it's $2.44 instead of $4.73. So that was another great win. So
And
we're
it
buying
tastes
those.
exactly the same.
Yeah, same product. So
Yeah,
yeah, the more we can find of those Western brands produced locally, I think that's a win.
definitely.
Popcorn really surprised me. When we first moved here, I just instinctively bought popcorn. It's a snack we like to have. And if you look at 327% higher than it is in the
Yeah.
US. So that was a surprise.
Yeah.
All right, taking a look at beverages now. Coke and Coca-Cola, fortunately, that's such an international brand. That's produced locally, I think, in almost all the countries out there. So it's actually less expensive here in Bangkok than it is in the US, which is great because we both like to drink Coke. Wine was dramatically higher, due mainly to alcohol taxes and import duties. We bought one bottle of wine since we've been here. It was 3 times more expensive than the US, and we still haven't opened it.
Yeah, it's still sitting in the refrigerator.
Yeah, so we might be drinking a lot less wine. Bottled water was actually slightly cheaper, which is great because
Yeah.
everybody's drinking bottled water here. So that was a slight win. All right, for frozen foods, you can see across the board, it was substantially higher. We're talking cold chain logistics. That adds cost from production to shelf. Frozen pizza, waffles, pot pies, kind of were staples in the past. And honestly, we're just not eating those anymore.
No.
We added a few basic household items to kind of round out the grocery basket here. We have toilet paper, paper towels. We're actually slightly cheaper here, which is great. Laundry detergent, there's so many different brands. It was slightly higher for the one that we chose. There might be some that are comparable to the US prices, but nominal difference there. All right, so what are some factors that make things cost more here? There's some of the things we already mentioned. You're talking imports, tariffs, alcohol taxes, cold chain refrigeration across a long distance, got transportation, lower local demand, and cultural consumption patterns. Like we said, cold cereal is a good example, just isn't a local staple here. All right, so one thing we've discovered too is that over time, prices do affect your food choices.
They do.
Right, so without really talking about it, we've just sort of noticed that things have sort of dropped off our grocery list. Right, we don't eat frozen waffles anymore.
Cherries.
Cherries.
Completely.
Yeah, cherries are out the window.
Yeah.
We still have that bottle of wine we haven't even opened up.
Yeah.
Cheese, we're eating less
Yeah.
cheese. So you just sort of have to make those trade-offs. And yeah, we've noticed our diet slightly changing.
Yeah.
In fact, we're eating way more rice, right?
Yeah.
We're
At
doing
least we maybe once a week or
once or
every
twice a
couple
week.
of
Yeah.
weeks.
So without really noticing it, your diet will start to change, which is great because we want to move down that chart to kind of get more affordable and become a little bit more
Yeah.
local. All right, so now it's time to total up our grocery basket. All right, let's see what we got. U.S. total, $153. Bangkok total in U.S. equivalent is $289. That's roughly 89% higher for this Western-style grocery basket. This doesn't mean Thailand is expensive. It just means the specific Western-style grocery basket is. If you localize your diet, your numbers will look very different. All right, so 89% more expensive. Is that what you expected?
Not really. I was thinking 40, 50% maybe.
I thought so too. Yeah, I would have said 40%. So I'm surprised.
Yeah.
More, that probably explains our grocery bill. Our grocery bill on average is about $800 a month. We know, watching videos, this is definitely at the higher end.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of reasons for that. One is that we love to cook.
We do.
And we love to eat at home.
Yeah.
Which say we eat almost all of our meals.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Our breakfast, lunch, and dinner. and snacks
Yeah.
is at home.
And we know eating out is less expensive. It can be. We've
Yeah.
ordered some things in, and we've had lunch. And we
Yeah.
periodically will be out and about, have lunch, and they are certainly affordable lunches. But we still love to cook at home, so we do most of our. I think that's probably the biggest factor.
Also, for us, it's not realistic to have all 3 meals out of the
Yeah,
house.
yeah, absolutely. Probably $100 of that 800 is probably my fault. Since we've been here, I don't know. I think nervousness from our visa issues or anxiety. I don't know what's. I'm snacking a lot, which I've got to get under control. That's probably $100. I would not doubt. I'm going to cut that back, and we'll report back and see if I can get that 700. But yeah, and we're going to do, as I mentioned, this is just one of a series of cost of living videos.
Yeah.
And I can say in advance, for anyone watching this, not to be scared about groceries. That's probably the outlier. So groceries, I would say, is one area. If you maintain this Western lifestyle, it is going to be more expensive. But in all the other areas I could think of for cost of living, costs are less.
Yeah.
It's definitely less expensive than the U.S.
I agree.
Some dramatically, some not so much. But
Yeah.
so we didn't want to scare anyone away, but we started with groceries.
So if you like
Yeah.
the video, don't forget to like and subscribe.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. And please leave comments. I
Yeah.
know this is a big topic, and I'd
Yeah.
love to kind of hear what longer term expats are finding.
And if you have some tips for us,
Yeah, we're
they're
always
welcome.
open. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, thank you so much for watching.
All right.
All right. Bye for now.